my room while I'm on stage. You do not want to know where I was storing this, and you don't want me using it. You can have that back. Wash the handle. Who here has watched Bursting Bubbles of Government Deception? Okay, who hasn't? Okay, little recap for you, my little sweetie. Come on up here. This way I'm not lonely. Come on, sit down. What's that? Oh, blame it all on someone else. Don't accept any responsibility, that's fine. Bursting Bubbles of Government Deception. You would have learned 5 things. Hi, Lori. Very nice to meet you, and thank you for correcting my bad manners by introducing yourself. I should have. No, you can't prove it. Bursting Bubbles of Government Deception. Just so you know, if we had a little projector, all of this would be on a big screen right now. I'm so glad this is a Mac.
Yeah.
But it's not, so right now it's just a big shiny cheat sheet for me. Bursting Bubbles of Government Deception. You know what you would have learned? You would have learned you are not a person, you have a person. Do you understand this concept?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Can you explain it to me?
Are you serious?
No, I tease it. Statutes are not law. They only have the force of law over those who consent, and they express their consent by showing the existence of the person. That person pretty much establishes that you have consented. Are you with me so far? Okay, if I trip, you pick me up. The power over you, anytime they have power over you, what are the 3 things that you put your name to? Did you get to that part on it? Or did... Who wants to help her out?
Registration.
There you go. The 3 words that anytime have you ever signed a document, you submitted an application for registration. Are you a mom? No? Are you? Did you register your kids? No? Good for you. I like you already. Anytime the government has power over you, it's a result of you submitting application for registration. Submission means an abandonment. Application means to beg. Registration is you signing over title or ownership to the other party. And that's their biggest trick. The other one, the big one, you live in the province of Ontario, is that correct?
Yes.
No, you don't, big liar. You live in Ontario, it's a geographical area. The province of Ontario is a legal entity, and it is not the same thing as a geographical area. I have to spank you later now. Spankings for everyone. The other thing is this. What it boils down to is the rule of law. And the rule of law basically states that we're all equal. And because we're all equal, I cannot govern you without your consent. And I can't spank you without your consent, can I? I can get your consent. I'm not talking about getting your consent. But without consent, no one has any power over you, and that's basically what that boiled down to. You like me. You can sense my power, can't you? Thank you very much. Grab your seat there. She is hamming it up. Steal my energy. Okay, the other one. Who has not watched The Magnificent Deception? Okay, you can stay there. Any hot women here haven't watched it? Okay, The Magnificent Deception, what you would have learned, you do not have a society, lawyers do. And actually, while we are on the topic, I have to give a little disclaimer to make the people in the Law Society happy. I have studied the law. I am not a lawyer. I like sex, I'm not into S&M, I eat meat, I don't drink blood. My point is, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an S&M, and I don't drink blood, and I hope the Law Society is now happy. You do not have a society. Unless you can tell me the name of your society, you don't have one. The people who make all these rules that you call a statute, they do have one, and it's kind of like a great big castle, and you hide outside of it, and you beg permission to get into it. You know that show, what is it, The Meaning of Life? No, Brian, Life of Brian, where he's outside trying to get in the castle, he's got 1 potato. That's kind of what it's like, where the big castle, that's the Law Society, they're in it, they have their rules. We come begging, knocking on their door, they don't let us in, but they impose their rules on us because we beg for it. If you cannot tell me the name of your society, you don't have one. I don't care what they try telling you. It's a legal entity, it must have a legal name. If it doesn't, then you don't have one, and there is huge remedy in this truth. If you're in court and they start talking about something that's good for the good of society, stop them right there. Ask them, What society are you talking about? I want the legal name. I want to know when it started. I want to know what makes you think I'm a member of it. They won't be able to do anything. You'll bring them to a screeching halt. Your social insurance number identifies you as a government agent. They look at it as an employee identification number. If you tell them, call them up saying, I need to know my federal employee identification number, they'll say it's your SIN number. You get it from Human Resources Canada. Where else do you go to any place else? You go to Human Resources, you're working for them. You need that number to pay into a pension plan. The courts have ruled payment into a pension plan is in fact prima facie evidence that you are an employee of the corporation. This is all very important because the rules that they try to impose upon you that have the words act, these are all the rules that are in place to control the employees of our country. But because you have stepped into the employee status, they now control you too. You can step back from that and you can get your servants once again serving you instead of having them trick you into being one of their employees. The other thing that you would have learned in the Magnificent Deception is that the goal is to bind all these lawyers with their own words. Words are very, very powerful. It's funny actually, on the way here, when Bolton was setting this up, he told me, what do you like to eat? Nah, what do you like? I said, yeah, beer, this, that. And then I said, normally I say peace, eh? I said pecans, eh? Just to be funny, because it's got all the same letters. He picks me up, he goes, shows me a big candy bag of pecans. Here you go, buddy, I know you like them. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, I guess I do. Get to this place, well, we got pecan pie, pecan encrusted chicken, we got pecan this, pecan that. I'm going, what the hell's up with the pecans? He said you like it, you closed it with pecans, eh? You gotta pay attention to these words. I'm eating pecans for a few days apparently now. These words are going to be very important because the meaning of them is what you use to distinguish what the truth is. Now, who here has watched Rob's Very Cunning Plan? Who likes it?
I do.
I thought it was pretty good considering the reason I did this. The Law Society was coming after me. They had called up essentially the cops. The Law Society went and tried to get a court order. They have secured a court order against some entity known as Robert Arthur Menard of North Vancouver. Well, the courts gave them that order. The cops were acting on it. And from my perspective, it was like there's a rustling in the bush and I could tell someone's about to jump out at me. And it wouldn't matter whether or not they charge or not. It's the arrest that they punish you with, isn't it? They get to taser you while they're arresting you. That's the lesson I felt that they were going to try to bring me. So what I did some research, looked into this, realized that the people who had sought the order were not willing to point to me and say, yes, this order affects you. The people who gave the order were not willing to say, yes, this order affects you. But the cops, who neither gave it nor sought it, they were willing to act like it did affect me. So by bringing to their attention the fact that neither of these two parties wanted to make the claim, I took away from the cops their ability to act under the color of right and come at me. So now the Law Society really loves me. In Rob's Very Cunning Plan, there are 5 basic steps. When I first made it, I broke it down very creatively and I realized there were 3, but then I realized that's only 3. 5 makes a fist, right? And plus I wanted to add to it. So the very first step I realized is dance. And there's a reason I chose dance. One is as a homage to my friend Robert Christie, who believes that when you dance, you're in complete power over your entire reality and no one can touch you. And I realized there's a certain truth to that. No one can dictate to you how you dance unless you're, northern Alberta doing line dancing or something, and then yeah, maybe. But other than that, they don't. Plus, it seems like these people in the government, they are putting their little fingers on everything, aren't they? They're trying to regulate every aspect of our existence. What's the one thing they have yet to try to stick their thumb into? Dance. And if they tried, they'd look awfully stupid. So from that perspective, I think we can get right close to our spirit, and from there we can get to where they cannot govern us. The next step I saw was that we're dealing with the Law Society. These people, they actually have a society. And what I see a need for is an actual functioning society. If we can't say, yes, I'm a member of the ABC Society or whatever it is, we are always going to be. It's kind of like we're flotsam on the sea. And they can just say, oh, he's a survivor, we're just picking him up. He's lost at sea, we're saving him. As long as